All right, everyone, welcome to another day trading live session here on our Sunday afternoon. It's around 2:40, and we just got some interesting news. Fed slash rates to fight the coronavirus shutdown to basically zero, and they also said that they would buy $700 billion worth of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. This is from the Wall Street Journal, right here. Fed slashes rate to fight coronavirus slowdown. Federal Reserve slashes its benchmark interest rate to nearly zero on Sunday and said that it would buy $100 million, $100 billion with a B in Treasury and mortgage-backed securities. So, yeah, it's full-fledged try to stimulate the economy to whatever means necessary mode. So they are doing whatever they can, which means basically printing a lot of money. Because, with interest rates basically at zero, they could go negative, but, that can only do so much. The next step would be to then stimulate the economy by expanding the money supply. So we'll see how that goes. It'll be either expanding the money supply and giving it to the banks or rich people and then letting them do what they please, or giving it to everyday Americans and everyday people within that economy. So we'll see what the market does. We'll see if the Fed is able to provide funds for individuals or if it's going to be for more for the banks here. So we'll see how it goes. And we're just looking at BTC because of the news. We're seeing it pump here pretty aggressively. We had that support zone bounce twice, and now we are coming up to our key level of resistance. So right here, this is just since the release of the news here. So it seems to be news related since they just talked about that occurring. And we can see there's the discussions and questions here. Just looking at the news. Manipulation is such BS. Yeah, I completely agree here. So we're now above our key minor level of resistance here. We're not... I should say I'm live here. Give me one moment. Shit, wow, it's doing pretty well here. I don't want to enter just yet. We haven't really seen any pullback, but we're seeing increasing buy volume significantly, which definitely gives me an idea that we could be looking to long here for potential entry, because we're just seeing a massive amount of buy volume come in kind of out of the blue a little bit. And looking at other alts, XRP is doing pretty well here, breaking its descending zone that we've been holding below for a while here. So that could be another opportunity because, BTC isn't doing, not really doing anything that is providing a potential opportunity. And Ethereum is lower where it currently is on the consolidation. So to me, it kind of makes potentially more sense to wait for a pullback here on Ethereum, because BTC and Ethereum will basically move very similar. If Bitcoin pumps, Ethereum will pump as well. It's not like if BTC goes up, Ethereum will remain stationary. They will pump at the same time. So it's interesting seeing that we're above our previous market resistance. That's something to keep in mind, right? But we do have some more resistance that we do have to pass. I'm just going to put that up just like here. And then we do have a couple more resistances that we do need to pass before we kind of home free here, so we're not completely out of the woods yet, but we are still looking for a potential opportunity if it does pull back. We see strong buy volume to the upside, and I am going to potentially incorporate just this zone right here as well. That's the zone we're looking for. So we got wicked out before, or we got taken out of this trade before. We're going to keep this on, this ascending trend line, because it's getting a little bit more respected at this point, but I'm going to be very patient and not try to enter just randomly. Well, I wasn't random. I was never random, but I was a little less precise than I could have been, and I always try to be as precise as possible with my entries. So there's that resistance zone yet again right here. We just have to keep that in mind, that we're not, longing right into a resistance area. Going to keep that on the 4 hour, just to keep in mind that we are nearing our area of resistance at around $5,800. So definitely something to keep in mind. We will see how the market pumps here, because we are gaining quite a bit of buy volume from BTC here on the 15-minute chart. XRP is not seeing it as much. Let's just jump to the 15-minute. Getting a little bit of a pullback. Let's just draw in our horizontal zone. Kind of like here. Maybe a little bit higher here and a little bit wider. Let's get that white. So let's get that right there. It's a little too big of a zone. I think I'm going to wait for a little bit more of a pullback, but Ethereum does look like a better opportunity just because it's closer to the descending zone, which I like. For one, that's definitely a major concern that I have with entering BTC, is the fact that it's already well above my confluent zone, which would kind of be around here. So it's not even close to where I would be looking to enter ideally, whereas Ethereum still is kind of close to that level of support. Gonna refine this a little bit. It's very messy here. Even it's a little bit messy right here, so yeah, it's going to be having to be a little bit wider of a zone. Not ideal, but that'll do. Previous support, new level of resistance. Hopefully it's going to be a new level of support. And then we also see another zone right around there. And then we got our key structural level of resistance. Maybe a little bit wider like so. And then we got our top zone here again like so. All right, so this is the level of support like so. And then we're wanting to see if it holds this zone. If it does, that's fantastic. But mainly we'll see where BTC goes, because that's not going to be 100% an option if BTC is not able to hold this zone. But it's a potential here. It's a sympathy play with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is doing pretty well. Obviously, with that massive 10% candle on the 1 hour time frame. Got about 10 minutes left until this 1 hour candle closes, so we want to be ensuring that we are making sure the candle closes before we really look to enter. And even if it does close, we'll want to see how the pullback occurs and how it's closing on the overall time frame on the 1 hour. 15-minute, looking okay, just broke that resistance. But yeah, it's interesting to see that little pump up here after the announcement. Unable to read the news. Okay, so I can go on my news. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. Definitely a little bit of a squeeze. We saw the higher low hold twice. We're seeing more buy volume coming in. That was a no supply on that candle to try to push that price to the downside again on the 4 hour. So that previous candle was a no supply, and then this current candle is a bullish engulfing candle. That's good to see on the double bottom within that higher low. That's good to see. We are making lower lows. If we do push above this zone, we'd be making a higher high. Could be looking for a higher low here on the larger time frames on the 1 hour. So we do want to be pretty patient here for a possible entry. But overall, it is looking like it fits into the criteria for our market structure. VSA, obviously, with that strong bullish volume, looking good. In terms of price action and market structure, we see 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's a dependable zone. So we can call that descending trend line a dependable area. If it does break, it could potentially create a shift in trend. And then we're just looking for some sort of squeeze. We got that right here where we got a support, hold 1, 2, and then 3. But mainly we're looking at these 2 right here. And then this second hold really shows that the bulls have taken control. So the attempt here was to make a lower low, right? So we held this zone, we hit this resistance again, and then our attempt was to make a new lower low. That was what the market structure was trying to do, and we got stuffed, held this level of support, and then now we're getting a strong level of, or strong volume from the buy side, pushing it above, even breaking this descending level of resistance, showing the strength from the bulls. So it's definitely more bullish at this point in time. Looking at the hour chart, looking at the volume spread analysis, overall we see some no supply candles and then a strong bullish candle kind of initiating that momentum. So we'll see how the next couple candles go, but I'm thinking that we could see something that is a bullish move. Now we do have a lot of momentum to the downside, we have to understand. Major momentum to the downside, and we have a strong level of resistance at around $143. So we do have to keep that in mind. But from 128-ish where we are to 143 is a space that we could be taking a move up to, because within the consolidation, the 143 range is going kind of to be the final area. So in that said, let's look at the 15-minute chart. We got 5 minutes until this candle closes for the 15-minute. And let's look at the 15-minute for BTC as well. Bitcoin just making strong moves to the upside here. So not wanting to FOMO, but it's really, really looking like that's a massive bullish candle here. Huge volume. And that's also in line with our overall fundamental catalyst that we're currently trading, which is going to be the Fed increasing the QE again, and then also cutting rates to basically 0. So Bitcoin's moving pretty quickly here to the upside, and Ethereum is a potential. We still got 5 minutes to close. Ideally, we're wanting to have the candle close before we look to enter. Ethereum, in my opinion, is kind of the best alt that we're looking at for an entry here, in my personal opinion. If we close where we are, that's a pretty big spread, 4.5, 4.7-ish% room if I were to give that price enough room to breathe. And then looking at risk rewards is not super favorable, but if it breaks our 143 level of support, that's going to be massive for Bitcoin. But we're basically right at that zone we see right here. So I think the 4 hour gives quite a bit of illustration as to where we currently are. So we're at that supply zone right now, and we still got 2 hours left on this 4 hour candle, and we're seeing a lot of volume come into the market, as we can see within the recent volume charts or volume candles we can see already. We still have more than 50% left to go on this candle, so it's seeing a lot of volume on the 4 hour. Now, if we're getting massive, just straight parabolic move, yes, we want to enter, but it's really hard to manage risk in these certain circumstances. So we're going to be little more patient. I think Ethereum is going to be the entry here if we do want to enter, because BTC is moving to the upside here, really breaking all resistances without any sort of hesitation. We do see that we are hesitating around just the $5,800 level of resistance, which on the 4-hour is a strong zone that we would probably want to be holding under if we are seeing a move to the downside. So I'm going to be patient because it's a strong move to the upside. Now, if it keeps on going, yeah, I might not be entering, but if we get that pullback from Ethereum, we could get a better entry here, really validating this previous support and previous resistance as a new level of support yet again. So we've got 3 minutes until the 15-minute and the 1-hour closes. So it's a significant candle closure that we're going to be getting here. Wow, Bitcoin just fucking climbing here. Interesting time. And let's see on the 4-hour just to see where that's going to open. So hopefully, yep, this is still running live, which is good. Massive move here from Bitcoin. Massive bullish candle on the hour chart. Huge. So definitely testing the previous resistance here. So we're let's just look at the 4-hour. I know exactly where we are, but maybe not everyone does. We're now testing the previous market structure resistance that we were holding back in 2018. Very, very important zone that we're currently at the top of our resistance, basically. Very, very top of our resistance. And we just got the... just going to get the 1-hour to close here very, very shortly in a couple minutes. So we're making higher lows towards that area. Not going to go over it too much more because I do definitely want to take action, and I can't review while taking action at the same time here. Two more hours till the daily candle closes. Minute and 30 seconds until this candle closes. Also, I'm just going to clean my mouse here. I got some stuff on it. I will be right back, and I'm just going to take one of the batteries out so it does not do anything. Okay, let's see how it's doing here. Holy shit, man. It's fucking nuts. Okay, so we just got it to close. 1 hour just closed. We are basically right at our key zone. Fuck, that would have been a good entry on XR or on Ethereum, but hey, that's how life goes. But it's a very exciting moment for us right now because we're seeing if it's going to break a vital zone for many of these alts here, not just for Bitcoin, because a lot of these alts are holding key levels of resistance, and it's just a matter of if we're able to break above it, or if this is going to be the high that brings a lot of people in before the big dump. So, you know, it acted very favorably to the news that we got about the 700 billion. And I believe they lowered the interest rates to basically zero. So our chart is rejecting here. So we are getting, let's get my other monitor, set everything up. Getting a pretty major rejection from the sellers here on X or on BTC. Fuck, I always see BTC or I always say XRP on Bitcoin. But it was a pretty solid move here on Bitcoin. A strong push to the upside. And I will put I guess I could look at S&P, so I could look at S&P futures. Don't want that. I'm just gonna look to see if I can find something. That's more, that's the futures of this, just looking at where I can find it. Well, we are getting that rejection here, which is not bad. Wow, BTC coming, or Ethereum coming right back down to the previous resistance. We'll see how much sell pressure comes into the market here, but you know, this does look like a good spot for an entry on Ethereum around 127, 128. If we get the price to consolidate and we get buyers to enter around here, we get validation. That could be a good opportunity here for us. But at this very moment, we're going to stay patient. We got a decent amount of buy volume because of the news of the money printing and cutting of the Fed funds rate. So that is definitely going to be something that the market may react to, which it currently looks like it is. So we'll see how it goes. We're just going to continue on with just analyzing, just looking right now. And I'm going to answer a few questions that people have on the Discord. SPX 500 USD. Oops, that's what I did wrong. Thank you very much. No luck, appreciate it. I was looking for that, but then I was looking to try to answer some questions for another person. But thank you very much for figuring that out for me. Now we got a continuous chart that we can look at instead of having massive gaps throughout the entire chart, which I don't love to look at. It's not very fun for me to mainly just look at massive gaps in the market. I like to see continuous price action because it gives me a lot more clear of a overall structure, and also the overall kind of flow of the price action is a lot more clear to me, and probably is a lot more clear to a lot of individuals as well. So we got our zones here. Basically just going to see how that moves right now. And on the hour chart, we'll leave it at that. Ethereum still pulling back. This is that trade that we're looking for. Actually, what I will do is I'm going to leave this here on the 1 hour, and then I'm going to use my other chart to look at the smaller time frame Ethereum. So we have the hour chart, because that's obviously very important to understand. And then we also have another chart specifically just for smaller time frames. So we got this guy right here. So let's start with the 15-minute. Draw in our descending trend line that we're going to have right here. Basically, that's how I see it right here. And then area of support. Oops. And then another area of support around here. So that's kind of the zone we're wanting to look to enter in, if we are looking to enter. And then we see a pretty solid rejection right at this zone around here. Fucking hell, get away. Okay, there we go. My mouse is acting up here, not letting me click the way I want to. Probably gonna get a new one today. So basically that's the overall outlook that we have within the smaller time frames. Like we said, what we're going to be doing is going like this. Come on, mouse, there we go. And there we go. We got the 1 hour. We got the 15/5 minute. We'll look at that on the smaller time frames. And that can be green just so it looks the same. And that's kind of what we're seeing on the 1 hour. And this is on the 15/5, just to see how the reaction is at these zones. I want to look at the smaller time frames. Mainly, we're looking at the 1 hour chart here on BTC and XRP. Getting a rejection here, which is not seeing a tremendous amount of volume compared to the push to the upside. But patience is the name of the game here. So that doesn't look bad. 4 hour, you know, it's just a matter of if we're going to break above this zone. Because this is the 58, 50-ish $100 level is going to be our resistance. And we're still holding our higher lows. So the overall trade that we were anticipating is not completely out of the books yet, where we're going to hold this ascending trend line and hold tighter and tighter, and inevitably if we do break the zone, we could have a short opportunity. So we're not looking to enter just yet because we're still at our major supply zone for BTC. There's no point longing right underneath the resistance, obviously, on any alt, because every single alt will follow similar to BTC. If BTC goes down, every single alt will go down. So it does not make sense to long an alt if BTC is just basically hovering below our resistance. If it breaks above, that's another story, because then that's breaking a resistance. It could be pushing up further. We do have a minor level of resistance at around 62. As we can see right around here. If it breaks that, well then we're going to have a potential strong move to the upside here, capturing kind of the gap that we filled, coming up towards the CME Futures exchange gap. But as of right now, we're still holding below this 58, 59-ish $100 level of resistance. And we're potentially looking to enter here if the momentum continues. Sorry, I'm just talking too much here, but not going to do anything right now. Okay, Just looking at what else is currently happening here. Colton, got you. Yeah, thanks very much. Appreciate it. I guess for other people who are watching, about 4 people watching, some crazy shit happening here. Within India, they're forcing some banks to actually only withdraw a certain amount of money by the RBI, which is kind of like the central bank for India in a sense. I'm just trying to find out what that actually stands for. Royal Bank of India? Something Bank of India? I think that's it. But anyway, the RBI is Bank of India. So recently they said this man, who has a corporate account for his nearby photography shop, was fielding anxious calls from colleagues, and he waited to be allowed to withdraw 50,000 of their national currency, which is $678 US, the maximum sum permitted by the RBI, the central bank for India. I don't know how I will get my money, he said. So, you know, when we say like, oh, do you really trust banks? Do you really want to leave your money in a central bank just because, you know, they're giving you like what interest percent? Absolutely nothing. Things like this can happen. And yes, in the US, there are more regulations, and in Canada, there are more regulations, and you are insured up for $100,000 in Canada. At least I know that. So, you know, if you have multiple accounts, you could put, let's say, under 100 grand in each account, so then you're insured. But if you do have more than 100 grand in an account, and if the bank goes under, you will not get more of your money back. The maximum you'll get is 100K. So if, let's say, you have 200K, 500, whatever amount, you know, you're going to lose the rest of it. So if the banks go under, if, that's a big if. But right now, like, look at the interest rates, look at what's happening. It's like another 2000. It's crazy to see. It's history in the making. So it's massive shit's going down here. And it's going to be interesting to see how Bitcoin is going to react to all this. Very, very interesting. If you watch the video that we made for our Performante premium students within the high quality analysis, we did discuss the similarities and what we could potentially see from what happened within the last recession in 2008, seeing the drawdown that gold had before it made a move to the upside. So during 2008, kind of at the similar time, there was a massive deflationary period in 2008 where everything, all assets went down. You know, stocks, real estate, gold, silver, kind of everything. And then at a certain point when stocks were almost at their low, kind of at starting 2009, I believe. Let's just look here. SPX. I guess I don't really have that anymore. But like kind of at the later half of the, where it got the worst point of the recession, at the most significant drops, that is where we saw gold start to see the demand come in. And then kind of at the low of the stock market is when you saw the surge. And then from that point onward for the next like 5 years, there was a massive bull market. Gold went up 100%. Obviously, with a larger market cap and more established, it's going to be less volatile. So Bitcoin is less established, less mature, so it's going to be more volatile. So if we're going to see something similar happen, I think that could be some massive appreciation here in the aftermath of the stock market collapse. So we got the hour chart, 44 minutes still left. We got 15-minute candle to close. Seeing that rejection pretty hard off around the $5,900 zone. We were looking a little bit more interested as the bullish push came into the market here. But as we can see, there's a pretty big rejection on the 1 hour chart with the sellers coming right back. Ethereum is coming back basically right to the demand area. You know, if we were looking to enter long, this would kind of be the position that we're looking to enter. We'd like to see some validations of buy pressure within the market, like significant, like 2-3 strong injections with some bullish engulfing candles. See more buyers in the market. We see BTC hold a nice level of support. We're looking for things that confirm that we could see another strong move to the upside. Even if we're just looking to enter at these lows here, you know, I'm not looking for amazing extensions, but even if we're just playing with the volatility, you could get some good opportunities here. I can't get that last take profit here to move There we go. So even if we're just looking at entries at the lows here, capturing just from support to resistance, you could have a risk reward of 3, 2.5, 2.8, and those are good risk rewards. And just playing within those ranges, you could potentially capture some nice opportunities. But right now, we're not going to do anything. We're just going to stay patient. We're not going to try to enter anything. We're going to see what the price action does on this 1 hour chart, because that was a pretty major rejection off the $5,900 zone from BTC. So we'll want to see how the price reacts within the next few hours from that rejection. Holy shit, man. That's crazy. So this is where they opened yesterday, and it's already down. Come on, mouse. Yeah, almost 5%. And this first circuit breaker is, I believe, at 7%. So, fucking hell. That's crazy. Hope you didn't buy calls. Yeah, hope you're not going that against the market. Hasn't been announced in an emergency meeting on Sunday, though. Negative interest rates was how we climbed out of the housing crisis. Yep. That's exactly how we climbed out of the housing crisis, and massive quantitative easing efforts, printing shit tons of money, extremely expanding the money supply. So this is the money supply that we currently have in the M2 monetary base. And we can see back in 1984, very, very slow, steady climb. This is the reaction from the dot-com bust, and then this is the 9/11 crisis, and then this is 2008, Q1, Q2, Q3, and then we got a little bit of the Fed trying to take care of that balance sheet, trying to burn some money here, trying to cut out some of the excess that we've seen back in the expansion of 2008, not really getting anywhere, and then we're seeing the balance sheet now climb back up. So the Fed is now printing more money. As we can see, they're starting to implement quantitative easing yet again, printing more money, giving it to businesses that need it because of the coronavirus, and it's only going to increase as time goes on, in our opinion. So we'll see how it goes here. There's some crazy stuff happening. Let's just look at interest rates here now. Looking at interest rates, they were at 2.5, and we're basically at the lowest point we've seen. Let's look at the 25-year. At the lowest point we've seen in the last while. The lowest point beforehand was our last financial crisis at the end of 2008 here, when the Fed cut rates to basically zero and held them there until 2016, and then they finally started to raise rates. They raised them too quickly, started that whole shabacle in 2018 when we saw that massive move to the downside, and then now the Fed are kind of do something like this, where they're just cutting and cutting and cutting and cutting. They'll get to a point where they're at zero interest rates, where they can't cut anymore. They'll probably go to negative interest rates, and then they'll just print more money. That is the plan for the Fed, in my opinion. That's kind of all they have, is they're going to either lower interest rates, they just did that, and they're going to print money, which they just did. So they're just going to do more of what they're doing. It might come in different ways, it might be in different situations, but at the end of the day, that's kind of all that they can do. So we'll see how Bitcoin reacts to the news of central banks printing more money. Usually that is going to be more bullish for these fixed supply assets that are Bitcoin, gold, silver. Well, we haven't seen Bitcoin, but gold and silver obviously is going to be pretty bullish if we do see that come into the market. Now, gold is seeing a move to the upside. It jumped to the upside. There is more interest in gold already. We're seeing there was a pullback here of around 10% on gold, and the futures market just opened, and we're now seeing an interest in gold, as we can see right here. This is the close and this is the open. So we got a bounce up from gold, opening now above the previous close, still holding this nice level of support. We see that this zone right here is going to be our strong level of support that we'd like to hold. And now we're above that zone. We could see that double bottom formation come into play with the hold below that area. And if we're able to see that climb back up, obviously that would be tremendous for the entire cryptocurrency market if gold kind of increases as well. So we'll see how the market reacts to the news of the Fed starting QE and then just printing more money. Obviously, BTC is in a downtrend, but we're not seeing as much sell pressure as buy pressure, which is good to see. Obviously, we still have 38 more minutes to go, so we're not looking to have that bias just yet. But overall, the market is pushing up for the safe haven assets like Bitcoin and gold, and U.S. oil is plummeting. If we go below that $30-ish support, then it's going to be another tumble to the downside. SPX still falling, so gold is doing a little bit better. Oil is plummeting, SPX is plummeting, and BTC's rejecting off this little resistance. So not a whole lot more to talk about. I think I'll just keep it at that. Not a lot of interaction. Not a lot of interaction within the Discord. So it's just pretty funny within our Discord here. One of our students said, "Raffle that laptop." The guy in the White House. This is background's Trump. That's funny. Could be fat. I have no idea. It's just funny. That's the case, though. All right. So some interesting stuff here. I will be back. I'm just going to get a quick bite to eat. I will be checking the price here throughout the day because it's very volatile. We could potentially capture a nice entry here if the price does hold. But we're going to want to look at the 1 hour when it closes, and we still have just under 40 minutes left. We've got 30 minutes left until this 1 hour closes. So we'll see how that goes. I'll be back very shortly to kind of give everyone an update here of what's happening. right, let's see how the markets are doing here. Dropped even more. Wow. All right, so that's kind of out of the question unless we get a rebound. Did anyone catch the short? No, I did not catch that short there. Holy shit. Oh my god. Craziness. No, I did not catch that short. A little too volatile in my personal opinion, with lots of volume coming in. Would not personally want to do that. Not in my trade plan. Fuck that. But overall, we're just patiently waiting. If it breaks this zone, though, that is what we're looking for. It's not like we're waiting indefinitely. We had a plan beforehand, and we're kind of sticking with it. Or at least I'm sticking with it, because I don't really want to enter here. To me, that's not really... I'm not really able to manage risk at all there, because it's just pumping. Well, I am. I just put a stop loss there, but like, it doesn't hit all my criteria for a potential trade, because market structure obviously is still on the upside. Got a no demand candle right there, but if we got a double top, maybe that would be an opportunity, but that to me is not something that I want to short. You got to know your own self. Some people think that's the best short in the world. Some people think that's like the perfect entry. And in hindsight, 100%, it would be the perfect entry. But yeah, not for me. Everyone has their own risk limits and risk appetite. That to me is a little too high on the risk appetite. I'd rather stick to a higher probability, more dependable situation here. So EOS is actually not dumping as hard. It's not going as far. So looking just at that, we could then be safe to assume that it will, because basically the overall market is dumping. XRP, just massive pump and dump here. So much volatility. Like, how much is that to the upside? It moved 10% to the upside and 10% to the downside in that same hour. That's crazy. It's very, very nuts. So I'm just going to draw this projection in here. And basically just see what the market does. If it dumps further, you know, we do have a potential opportunity here, because this is the opportunity we are looking for. Let's get our short. You know, it's looking something like this. We don't exactly know, but if we're able to get an entry, if it breaks that zone, take profits would probably be at that low, maybe a little bit lower. But that major rejection shows that there's strength from the sellers, obviously. We did get the 1 hour candle to close at that zone. So looking at the volume, looking at the candle, obviously that shows that there's buyers, not just for one little minute, but coming into the market, pushing it back up. And then, yeah, we did get a rejection with strong sell volume coming in, which signifies that there is more sellers staying confident, sticking with the downside momentum. Yeah, that's a significant move for sure. Hit that rejection, so still just within the consolidation. Our plan did not change. We got a decent amount of volatility. You know, we were getting a little interested. Obviously, with volatility comes potential moves, which could yield some lucrative trades. But it's very important that we have to stay patient within consolidations, because it's really easy to get caught up in a trade that you think is great on a smaller time frame, and then you zoom out and then you realize it was kind of a waste of a trade in the first place. So I still struggle with that for sure. I need to be more patient, and I think it's a lifelong skill as a trader. I do look for high quality setups, but at the end of the day, if the overall outlook is not an A plus, I should not be taking it. Like if it's a B or even a C, there's no point. Just does not make sense. And sometimes I do take C's, and B's are totally acceptable, but C's are definitely not something that you should want to be trading in. And D's and F's, obviously you're just grading them yourself, but you kind of have an understanding if this is like a really, really prime setup, or if it's just a setup that like is all right. Because XRP, like if we are able to hold here with a lot less sell volume, it doesn't look that great anymore. Why were we looking at this even as a potential? Let's just talk about it for a minute here on the 1 hour chart. We've got a couple of people watching. So first off, we saw that there is a descending zone. We have an anchor point right here, and then we have 1, and then we have 2, and then we have, don't really classify these because they do have a gap, and then we have 3. So in total, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 touches of a descending line or descending zone, creating a dependable area. Now that is price action. Now we're looking for a potential market structure shift. We see a support turning into a resistance. Could have been a nice another level of support. That's market structure. And then also looking at VSA, we see that there is a strong level of demand that came in. And overall within the consolidation, we do have decent buy volume coming in. When we hit that support here and then we hit it for a second time, we got a strong, massive bullish candle, which to me signified that there was a decent amount of buyers in the market. So in my opinion, yeah, it's still possibly there, and we still are holding above this zone, but with that massive rejection, with the amount of sell volume that we're seeing, the opportunity is looking less ideal. But like always, we are wanting to wait until price confirmation, which is a candle closure on larger time frames, before we kind of make any major choices here. So right now, we're just patiently waiting for BTC to do something. If it does nothing, and if it just starts consolidating again, we're not really going to be looking to enter. We're just going to look to be patient and wait until a better opportunity presents itself. A better opportunity could mean an ascending trendline breakout. That for me would be the opportunity that I would be looking for a potential another breakdown to at least the sub 42s. You know, if we're looking, we could even go down to the $3,200 zone. That would be kind of the low that we hit in 2018. That would be pretty significant of a move yet again. But, you know, who knows with how the economy is doing, with how the overall financial markets are looking right now. It's looking very bleak for bonds have been actually exploding in terms of the actual price of the bonds. The yield has been driving down exponentially, but the overall price of the bonds have been exploding because a lot of people are rushing into them, and that's basically the only thing that is going up as an asset, really, other than if you're shorting or trading inverse or TVIX or volatility indexes and all that stuff. But overall, kind of the general market, mainly everything is going down, so we're mainly looking to trade with the trend. We do see EOS here on the bottom left-hand side. A potential, we do see an ascending trend line squeezing the price closer toward the apex. It's an ascending triangle failure to the downside. If it does break, we do see more sell volume than buy volume already, and we still already have 23 minutes until this candle closes. So it's showing that there's more sellers and buyers within the market. But don't really have more to talk about. We went over some economic information as well. Just looking at some questions and whatnot. Personally, I think BTC will go lower because of coronavirus. My guess is that it will drop down to 3,100 quid. Might be dollars, because then $3,200, $3,100 would make sense. Kind of similar zone that I'm looking at within the next 2 weeks. Right now, I'm still waiting, but I really don't want to miss the pump back to 9 or 10K. I'm just waiting for a couple more days. I want to jump in till it hits like 10 to 12K again. Yeah, that's a massive move. I'd argue that the calls are worthless tomorrow. Yeah. Federal Reserve inverting only harms market confidence. Hopefully, this was Friday. Holy shit, yeah. This dude is calling some bear fucking calls here. This was Friday when the Fed announced one trillion. Yeah, I think your positions might reverse in P&L when the market opens. So he has Facebook calls, GME calls, FIT puts. So calls are when you want the price to appreciate. So you see he has a decent amount of short exposure. He has put, but then he does have some. Oh, he has calls on gold, so that's good. TBF puts. I think I'd be fine though paying money off my puts. Do you think the puts will reverse? Yeah, I don't know. We will see, but he's got a lot of positions on. He's well hedged. It's not like he has exposure just to one side, but yeah, hopefully your puts are going to be favorable for you here for the next market open for tomorrow. So 21 minutes until this candle closure. You know, we're seeing the massive volatility. We're seeing the sell pressure come into the market. I think EOS could be an opportunity for a short here if we do get a lower low to come in. This is the previous low that we are holding, so we could see this turn into a nice level of support potentially, turning into a resistance like so. So it was a resistance, support could be a resistance for the move down like here, and then we'd have a stop loss kind of maybe at around 5%. Take profit maybe around our first level at maybe 2, somewhere around there. So yeah, we really got to ensure that we are lowering our position size when we are trading these volatile markets because, for example, this risk-reward situation at a minimum risk-reward of 2. Ideally, we're looking for maybe 3 as well, but you know, I just like to understand the minimum situation that I'd like to have. Looking at a risk of like 5.5, almost 6%, and then we see a reward of 11.5-ish%, maybe 11.2%. So we're seeing these massive risk-reward percentages. So that means that we have to reduce our position size and kind of widen our zones to ensure that we're capturing the swing highs and swing lows of the market when it is volatile, because it's very easy to get whipped out in these situations. So you want to ensure that you're going to kind of structure your trade setup that allows that flexibility. Well, there's not a whole lot to do right now. We're just consolidating at the zone. If we just continue the consolidation, I'm probably going to stop the live. I thought with that increase in volatility, we could have saw maybe, who knows, a strong move to the upside and a slam back down, potentially, or a strong move to the upside, consolidation, and then we just get the bulls to come right back up. Anything is a possibility, so we always have to keep prepared. And that's just a part of being an active trader in the markets, is you have to always kind of have your eyes up ready to go whenever something does occur, so then you're able to potentially capture some profits to make some money. So that's the end goal here, and we do see that getting that rejection at that zone, signifying this strong level of resistance at around 5,900. Totally, it makes sense. So, if we are able to make a potential consolidation up to that zone again, and if we make that ascending trend line, then we have a better situation where we're able to short closer to that area, because we're able to have a price action and market structure confirmation as well as VSA. That little pump, I personally just am not willing to take that risk. So everyone's different. I just think that's not a entry that I personally would want to be entering. I'd rather have a little bit more confirmation with the three things I just mentioned. So I think I'll just continue with what I was working on before. Just getting that in order. Okay, so I think I got everything done on that. Yep. Okay, cool. So that's fine. hour till the 4-hour closes. That wick kind of looks familiar. We'll see how the next few candles go. We'll discuss if it actually comes to somewhat into fruition. We'll see how it goes in the next few days here. But don't want to say anything if it's not even going to come close to coming through, because it's still very early. But we'll see. Link's now in the red on the 4-hour. XRP not yet, but looking pretty close to it. Yeah, I think it might be tonight, tomorrow night. I don't know. We'll see. We're still holding the ascending zone, which is good, but at the end of the day, we are bearish. We're looking for shorts. We're looking for sells. We're looking to continue the momentum because we think that there's going to be a deflationary period where gold, silver, Bitcoin, cryptos will be deflationary for the kind of first half of the recession, where there's total chaos and panic. Everyone's selling basically all assets and driving into bonds, which have basically a yield of almost nothing, but investors are so pessimistic that they're going into US Treasury bonds, right? That's why you see the price of bonds shoot up exponentially, and you're seeing the yield of bonds just go down exponentially, basically. So there's a lot of uncertainty in the markets just by viewing that. And then there'll be a point in time where there will be a shift, in my opinion, from the current phase where everyone's driving into bonds into, okay, there's a lot of money printing. QE's back again, but stronger than ever. They've gone too far. Shit, there's inflation. Okay, now where do investors go when they're worried about inflation? Lo and behold, gold, silver, crypto, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and that whole sector will see potentially a massive wealth transfer from basically all other asset classes into these fixed supply, stable, safe haven assets that will, in my opinion, appreciate exponentially within the next couple of years here. But in the short term, deflationary; long term, exponential appreciation. So that is the overall view that we have. That's why we're kind of still looking for shorts here. This is a good, healthy consolidation. We are going to be looking for ascending zones that we're going to be holding right now. We do see EOS not perfect because we see like lots of volatility and a mess, a lot of noise within the anchor point, and then as the price continues, we get a little bit more clarity and a little bit more respected areas where we can validate that there are nice clean zones. But within basically all the alts that we're looking at, we got a lot of noise, a lot of disruption, not a lot of clear zones within the move to the downside. And then once we're able to consolidate what will then form a nice area where the price is going to hold a nice ascending trend line, once that breaks, well then you know what we're going to be looking for when that comes. So I think I might be closing this current crypto market update. We got a little bit of a bullish move here with the catalyst of the Fed basically printing 700 billion and cutting the rates basically to zero. I associate printing money to a potential increase in buying pressure for gold, silver, Bitcoin, and the general cryptocurrency market. I see that kind of as a relationship that will be built as they print more money, as they just give more money to Americans and other countries and economies, give money to their people. You will start to hear a whisper of inflation, and you'll see things like people comparing it to Venezuela, I think. In its different circumstances, Venezuela was more corrupt, and some countries are just doing it because they have no other option. What can they do, right? Businesses will completely shut down for weeks or month or longer. We have no idea. But if they can't operate, they still have to pay their employees. They still have to pay all their expenses and whatnot. They still have to pay the rent. They still have to pay the everything, right? The show still has to go on. They're not going to completely just shut down the economy. There still has to be some gears turning. But like, how are they going to do that? Like, there's a big question there. It just doesn't make sense in terms of the economics of how they're going to function. So then the only way they're going to be able to do it is by paying everyone this newly printed money to try to keep the gears running, basically, is by printing money, giving it to people so they can stay home, be away from everyone else, and basically compensate for the lack of pay for the amount of time that we're going to be heading into for kind of like a hunkering down time frame. I don't exactly know how long that's going to be, but we're going to be looking kind of similar to Italy and China maybe. So in that side, that's pretty detrimental to any economy that's gonna suffer that. So yeah, we will see. It's a crazy ride right now. I am yeah, I don't know. I'm waking up every single day very, very not excited, but interested in what the world is up to and what's happening overall. Just plotting some very simple zones here. I think I'm maybe gonna close this and close this and just put simple zones. I think that would be the best thing to do. Wow, already a significant move to the downside. So we're kind of consolidating on all assets right now. Oil's just chilling at the low. SPX is already dumped pretty significantly from the resistance here. So our TikTok call is starting to come into play here. But yeah, there's not much moving right now. I think I'm going to close the live. Thank you very much for the people watching. Colton, thank you very much for the link or for the information. Appreciate that. If you got any other questions about what we went over today, definitely drop a comment. I will start another crypto market or a day trading live session if there is movement, if there's more things coming into the market, if we're seeing some action. But right now, we got a massive push up, a massive pullback. We did not want to enter. We did not want to expose ourselves and risk ourselves in that situation. If we are looking to short, I'm personally waiting for a higher confirmation to enter. Everyone's different. Everyone has their own strategy, their setup, their system. That is how every single person trades. And that's what we're looking for, is our own system and our own setup for us to find the highest probability situations. So things to work on is definitely patience, like always. It's kind of like a forever battle of just understanding that you can be in the markets without trading, and that is a successful day. And definitely we do have days where we don't trade, but at the end of the day, that is something that I'm working on, and I think that everyone has own things that they're personally working on. And for me, that's going to be the main thing, is to not get involved every single day and to see potential opportunities that are maybe C's or lower B's and just let them go and not need to trade them, not need to have exposure, and to see the play come through. And then if it does come through, if the trade does come and do exactly what I want, well, that is unfortunate that I didn't get into it. But at the end of the day, I'd rather not be in a trade that I wish I was in than to be in a trade I wish I wasn't in, because losing money is worse than being flat. In my personal opinion, obviously, I think most people would say that, but just being patient and sticking to your high-end A+, A setups is really good advice. And I think the only way you can learn that is just through trial and tribulations on your own. I can tell anyone that, but unless they learn on their own, it's not going to affect them in any way. So experience is the best teacher, and that's just through years of looking at a chart and getting time underneath just the immense amount of trades that you'll be taking in a lifetime. So that is the end of the video. Thank you very much for coming and watching and listening. And until next time, happy trading, everyone.